Update to the YouTube Jailbreak saga. We have the official release of version 1.6 now for YouTube Jailbreak, and it now supports up to the latest firmwares on the PS5, which is just, of course, the YouTube Jailbreak portion. That means you can't actually jailbreak up to the latest firmwares yet, because the latest kernel exploit we have is P2JB, which only works up to 12.70, but that means we've gone from only being able to jailbreak up to 12.40 with the YouTube app, and now being able to jailbreak up to 12.70 with the YouTube application. And that's what I'm going to be showing you here in this video. Now, the reason why things have changed since my last update video, where we knew that Geji now had updated the YouTube jailbreak to work up to the latest firmware, but it wasn't going to be useful on 12.60 or 12.70 because the YouTube application after 12.40 started requiring you to purchase a license from the PlayStation Network to be able to launch the YouTube application. While the reason why things have changed is that it was discovered that there's a specific version of the YouTube application, a newer version than the previous versions we've been using, where PlayStation dropped the ball and actually forgot, I guess, to change it to require the license from PSN. So this newer version of the YouTube application behaves the same way as the older versions where you can launch it without a license, which now allows us to use the YouTube jailbreak up to the latest firmwares using that version. That is the big development that has made this possible, and it's this version here, 1.000.030, which minimum firmware is 12.20. So we now have two backup files. We have the kind of older version of the YouTube application that works from 4.03 up to 12.40, which is the main one we've been using so far. But now we have this new backup file for firmwares 12.60 and above, and you can install that one. You can see you have them both down here that you can install. So first of all, you can see I'm on firmware version 12.70. If I go into the settings and go to System Software, and Console Information, you can see my firmware is 12.70, the highest firmware that's currently jailbreakable with this jailbreak. Okay, so I'm going to give you guys a basic rundown of how to set this up. I will have a more complete beginner's guide. Obviously, this is just the initial release, but I'll have a full beginner's guide fairly soon after this. But for now anyway, just to get you guys up and running with the initial release version. So there is the YouTube Jailbreak 1.6, the original version here that's been posted. Now the bottom zip file is the download 0 file, and that's for updating from a previous version. So if you already have a previous version of YouTube Jailbreak and you want to update to this one, you can simply download that zip file and then connect to your console on FTP once you're jailbroken and you've loaded the FTP server payload. And then you can go into the user folder, the download folder, PPSA 01650 folder, and simply copy that download0.dat file from that version or any other version that you want to update to, like an autoloader version, and just copy that download0.dat file into that folder with FTP, and that will install the updated version. But for everybody else, you'll be installing this for the first time, which involves restoring one of the backup files. You can recover this backup file, download the backup file for 12.20, which is the minimum firmware 12.20, which is the one that will work up to the latest firmwares. You just want to use the userland exploit on the latest firmwares, you can restore this backup. If you're on 12.60 or 12.70, you want to use it to jailbreak, then you can also restore this backup in jailbreak, but this is the manual version that requires sending payloads manually. The other option right now is that there's a test release, a pre-release build of the autoloader from its PLK, which now supports firmwares up to 12.70. And this version should automatically run the payload for you and load the payload manager, basically does the whole jailbreak setup for you, although it is a pre-release build right now, not a full release, so there could still be some issues. So it's up to you which backup file you want to restore and use. I'm just going to use the autoloader version here for now, and there's no backup that comes with this, so I will leave a backup in the video description, but my backup will only be for 12.70. If somebody else makes a backup that works on 12.70 and 12.70, then I will leave it down in the video description. So what we need to do is grab ourselves a USB drive that is formatted in exFAT format. If you right-click and go to Properties, make sure the file system is exFAT, and then we can go into that USB drive, open up the backup zip file for whichever backup version you're trying to restore, and copy the PS5 folder to the root of the USB drive. Do not put it inside any existing folders, and then once we have that copied over, we can simply go ahead and grab nano DNS and also copy that into the root of the USB. So I will leave a link to that in the description as well. The nano DNS payload, make sure it's the one for PS5, not PS4. And then we can simply unplug that USB and plug it into our PS5. Once we're on the PS5, we're going to go into the Settings, System, System Software, and Backup and Restore. Now, I would recommend making a backup of your own console first, because restoring this backup for the jailbreak will wipe your console of any installed applications and save data and anything else that you have on the console so far. So if you don't want to lose that stuff permanently, I would recommend making your own backup file to the USB first of all, of any important things that you want to keep. So make a backup, and then once you've got your own backup created, you can go ahead and restore the one that contains the jailbreak. So we're going to go to Restore Backup, and we're going to restore that backup file onto our console, our Y2JB autoloader, and wait for that to complete. And once that is done, it'll restart your PS5 once it completes, and you'll be back on the home page. And now if we go into the media section, we have the YouTube application available. Now, I would recommend getting connected up to your network as well. If we just head into our network settings on the PS5, and then go to Set up an internet connection, check the box to connect to the internet. If you have a wired connection, you can just press Options on your registered network and go to Advanced Settings and change the primary DNS to 127.0.0.1. And of course, if you're on a wireless network, I recommend setting the wireless network up manually so that you don't connect unprotected, where the YouTube application can get updated. So make sure you set up manually, enter your SSID, which is your network name, WPA as your security type in most cases, and your password, and then also change the DNS from automatic to manual, and again set the primary DNS to 127.0.0.1. And that's how you want to get connected up to the network. It will probably say it can't connect when you first connect to the network here, but it should still be connected. You should have a valid IP address. It's just saying that because the DNS is being blocked. So at that point, we can go ahead and run the YouTube application, which will start running the jailbreak. And of course, on 12.70, this is the autoloader version, so it has this nice UI. And after a while, when it starts running the jailbreak, it even gives you a progress bar, which will give you an idea of how long it's going to take, because it roughly takes 50 minutes. But at least here you have a progress bar to show how much time has elapsed and roughly how much longer you have to go until the jailbreak is complete. And once it's done, if it loads successfully, because obviously it can sometimes crash and fail, in which case you have to reload it and try again. But if it loads successfully after around 50 minutes, it should automatically quit out of the YouTube application, and then it will load something called the Payload Manager. The Payload Manager then allows you to install other payloads. And if the Payload Manager fails to load, remember that you can always send payloads over the network using software like Netcat GUI by entering the PS5's IP address in the host box, and the port number is 9021 once the jailbreak is loaded, and then you can send your payloads that way like KStuff Lite or Shadow Mount to get up and running with the jailbreak. So for instance, what we can do once we're into the Payload Manager is we can simply go into the settings and then check the box to scan USB payloads. And then if we go into the Manage Payload section and scroll down, we should have our Nano DNS payloads that we put on the root of the USB drive. That will show up in there, and we can simply select it and move it to the internal storage. Once it's been moved to the internal storage, we can simply go to Manage Payloads and load Nano DNS, the one from the internal storage, which does not have the sort of USB icon. So go ahead and load that one, and that will load Nano DNS. Once Nano DNS is loaded, you should have an internet connection while blocking Sony servers, which means if you go back into Manage Payloads, you can then hit the refresh button on the cloud repository, and it should load all of the payloads that are available to install online. And from there, you can then install any payloads you like. So for instance, I'll go ahead and install KStuff Lite, or kind of main jailbreak payload. And also, we want to go ahead and install Shadow Mint Plus. We want to at least have those two payloads installed. And once I have those installed, I can add them into my autoloader config by enabling the autoloader in the autoload section. And then once we have the autoloader enabled, we can then add our payloads directly in there. So I can add my KStuff Lite, Shadow Mount Plus, and Nano DNS to the autoloader, and that will autoload those payloads the next time we run the jailbreak. And of course, you can just select the payloads from within the dashboard section here to load them if you want to load KStuff and Shadow Mount Plus. So that's just a quick and dirty way to get things set up right now with just these new versions that are just starting to come out, but I will have a full beginner's guide fairly soon, walking you through things step by step. So anyway, that's going to basically do it here for this one, so hope you guys enjoyed this video or found the information useful. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe, and as always, I will hopefully